As parents, we worry about having all the answers. Being a great parent is actually more about asking the right questions, and not necessarily even of our kids, but of ourselves. Because the right questions at the right time can change how we think about things. They can change how we understand things. They can give us a new perspective. They can change the course of a life. I'm Ryan Holiday. I'm the author of The Daily Stoic and The Obstacle is the Way and many other books that have sold millions of copies all over the world. But I'm also the parent of 2 young boys. For Daily Stoic, one of the most popular videos we ever did was this idea of 12 questions that can change your life. For today's episode here for Daily Dad, though, I wanted to give some questions that have changed how I think about being a parent. I'm not saying that I even know the answer to all those questions, but that's the idea. There's value in letting them sit there, value in letting them challenge you. The first question comes to us actually from Bruce Springsteen. He talks about this in his Broadway show. So many of Springsteen's best songs are about the painful legacy that our parents inflict on us. He's mostly talking about his father. When he was performing on Broadway, he said that we are either ghosts or ancestors in our children's lives. We either lay out our mistakes and our burdens on them and we haunt them, or we can assist them in laying those burdens down. We can free them from the chain of our own flawed history or behaviors. And he was saying that an ancestor walks alongside you and assists you, as opposed to a ghost, which scares and haunts and frustrates you. And so to me, this is a critical question. Are you an ancestor or a ghost? Are we going to be haunting them with our mistakes, with pain that we inflict on them, with things that we leave unsaid or unresolved? Or are we inspiring them, challenging them, giving them help and guidance? As parents, we save and plan these elaborate vacations. We anticipate things for months and months. We think this is going to be so fun. They're going to love this. I always wish that I could have done this when I was a kid. It doesn't always go the way we want. What's happening is that we're thinking about quality time as its own kind of time. Jerry Seinfeld, who has 3 kids, has talked about the danger of even thinking about quality time. He said, give me the garbage time, like time on the couch together, time in the car. His point is that there is no such thing as quality time. It's all quality time if you are present for it, if you make it special. I was taking my kids on this trip. I'd driven all the way there. We'd planned this whole thing. We had a reservation, and I'm like trying to rush them out of the hotel room as they're jumping on the bed back and forth, having this crazy time. And I realized, oh wait, this is the trip too. This is the vacation too. The vacation doesn't start when we leave the hotel and we go do the activity. It's all the activity. It's all quality time. And here I am trying to rush through an actually fun thing to go do this thing that I've decided is more fun. The point of this question is to get you to understand that the ordinary and the mundane are important. You don't need quality time. It's all quality time. You want just time, period. Every day can be special. Every moment can be significant. My friend, he's also a great author, Austin Kleon, he says that this is the hardest part of parenting, that you basically have to be the kind of parent that you want your child to be. You have to do the things you want your kids to do. Parents want their kids to read, but when was the last time your kids saw you reading? You want them to put down their phone and interact with the world, but what does your screen time app say? I remember Austin was saying that parents want their kids to do things that they don't do themselves. You gotta have them see you reading. You gotta have them see you being kind, pursuing your hobbies. You would never want your kid to think it's too late for them, that they have to give up, that they don't have a future, but what changes are they seeing in you? What problems are they seeing you solve in your life? Your kids want to go swimming, but you have to make a phone call. Your kids want to wrestle, but you have to cook dinner. Your kids want you to come tuck them in, but it's a tie game and there's only a few seconds left in regulation. We pick things over our kids because those things seem urgent, because they'll only take a second. But mostly we pick these things because we think we can get away with it. If there was actually something more urgent or essential, you would of course push the phone call. But here we are telling our kids and their earnest request to spend time with us that they're not important, that we're choosing these other things over. You don't have to put the thing off forever, but this moment right now you will not get back. There's a story I tell in the Daily Dad book about Queen Elizabeth II. She'd just returned from a 6-month trip abroad. This was before airplanes were widely available. She's having to tour all these different parts of the British Empire, and she's been gone for an incredibly extended period of time. And when she comes home, she boards the royal yacht where her kids are already waiting. Desperate. You know what your kids, when you're coming home from a business trip, does she have presents? Does she have stories? Is she going to hug them? And as she steps aboard, her son, Prince Charles, then a little boy, he runs towards her. But Queen Elizabeth, a stickler for protocol, politely greets this group of dignitaries first. She says, "No, not you, dear," to her son, and then finishes the business before she turns to her kid. Oh, that phrase. Even 65 years later, "No, not you, dear." It just hits you. And I'm sure it hit her, and certainly it hit Prince Charles hard enough that there's a chapter in his memoir titled that. And as bad as that is, it is only bad because it is so explicit. Our kids are not an interruption from our work. They are our work. They are our world. We should act that way. I remember once, many years ago, I read this article from Malcolm Gladwell where he was pointing out that even in the NBA, where you have the most talented, well-paid, well-coached individuals in the world, objectively talented, elite performers, how remarkable it is that an athlete will struggle on one team and then when moved to another, suddenly reach some new level of potential, suddenly become almost a totally different athlete. Nothing changed for this athlete but the environment, but the context, but the resources that were around them. Our kids are like that too. We have to ask ourselves, are we actually setting them up to succeed? Have we actually put the right supporting cast around them? Everything is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Is the thing I'm about to say, is the thing I'm about to do, is how I'm engaging with this person, am I making a deposit or am I making a withdrawal? Have I made the deposits that I need to be able to justify this withdrawal? Sometimes you got to be critical. Sometimes you got to speak harsh truths to your kids. Sometimes you have to have unpleasant conversations with them. But that's only going to be possible if they know that you love them, that you care about them, that you want the best for them. You have to have the capital between you, because at some point you're going to need to draw on it. Deposits, I would say, are made when we love them, when we support them, when we connect with them, when we spend time with them, when we are present around them, when we make them feel seen and understood and supported. Everything other than that is a kind of withdrawal. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they have this acronym, HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. That those states are particularly conducive to relapsing, to making bad decisions. And it's actually, I think, a really helpful analogy as a parent. Could the kids just be hungry? Could they just be tired? Is something wrong? Are they overstressed, overstimulated? It's not assuming that they are the behavior, but that the behavior is there in response to something you can't see. As an adult, I try to think about this. I go, hey, my kids are acting this way because they're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I'm having trouble tolerating it, being understanding, being empathetic about it because I myself am hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And if that makes a big difference for me, it's going to make a big difference for a little kid who doesn't have as much experience or self-awareness as you do. A parenting expert once said to me that behavior is the language of children. Kids don't always know that they're anxious. They don't always know that they're scared. They don't always know that they feel this or that because they didn't even know that was an emotion. They are speaking to you with their behavior. Your kids are trying to talk to you. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter where they're from or how much social and emotional learning you've given them. They are going to be experiencing and feeling things that they cannot articulate. And this is, again, because they don't have the words. You barely have the words for the things you're feeling, and you've been at this a lot longer than them. Have we made it appear to our kids that a good life is measured by how much money you have, what your profession is, how many fans or followers you have, what you look like? Or is it something deeper? I was reading once about Tracee Ellis Ross, the actress. Her mother is actually Diana Ross, the singer. And you might think that someone that successful would care a lot about success in their daughter. And it's actually pretty common. Driven parents drive their kids to get good grades, to win games, to be the strongest or the most popular. They want to continue that pattern of excellence. But Tracee actually got really lucky, and her mom did it right. She would say that while most parents ask their kids, like, how are your grades? Did you win? Are you number one in your class? Her mom would ask, did you do your best? So when her daughter, amidst some fits and starts, went on to be a really accomplished actress, she said it was in part because her mother's emphasis taught her the right perspective, that you should navigate a life through how it feels as opposed to how it looks to everyone else. What counts is the kind of person that they are. And that's what we have to be telling them matters. That's what we have to be shaping them around. If the most important thing we can give our kids is a sense of resilience, a sense of being able to deal with problems and difficulties, then the question we have to ask ourselves is, how can we use this? How can we use this to teach them that? How can we use what is in front of us to teach them how to respond to the obstacles that life inevitably puts in front of us? I tell the story in The Obstacle Is the Way about how in the 2008 presidential campaign, there's the Reverend Wright scandal that could have sunk Barack Obama's presidential bid, but instead he decides to see it as what he called a teachable moment. And he gives one of the great speeches on race in American history, the More Perfect Union speech. And again, whatever you think of Obama's politics or even that scandal, I think it's hard not to like that phrase. Like, a teachable moment is great. That's what we have to be looking for as parents. Everything is a teachable moment, including the obstacles and difficulties in our own life, because it's a chance for us to show our kids how you deal with obstacles and difficulties that are inevitable in life. There's a story I heard once about this couple that had been married for like 80 years, and someone was asking, what's the secret? How did it happen? Did you ever fight? The man said, my wife and I never fought, but I took a lot of walks. This actually connects to an idea from Seneca, where he says that delay is the greatest remedy for anger. I think that's true. And to me, there's no better way to delay and to process and to deal with things than by taking a walk. A walk is a way to clear your mind, to make sure you don't do something you'll later regret. Anger creates false urgency. When we take a walk, when we calm things down, we do better. And I would also say that walking is particularly magic if you do it together. Strap them in a stroller and go for a walk. Put the leash on the dog, go for a walk. One of the oldest bits of evidence we have of humans in North America is footprints in White Sands National Park of probably a mother and a young toddler. And you can see the footprints going alongside each other, and then the smaller set disappears because the mom has picked up the kid and carried him. But then the kid says, oh, put me down, and then pick me up. And any parent can immediately see, just from footprints alone, this timeless, beautiful thing. I'm not saying taking a walk will solve all of your problems as a parent. I'm just saying there are very few problems made worse by taking a walk. Your job as a parent is to be a fan, is to support them, is to root them. It's not to make them realistic. It's not to get them to consider this or that. It's not to make them see this or that. Your job is to be a fan. One of the most beautiful parenting stories I ever heard is about Jim Volvano. He wasn't even out of high school yet, and he tells his dad that he wants to be a coach. He wants to be a basketball coach. A couple days later, his dad calls him into his room, and his dad says, you see that suitcase? He says, yeah, what's that about? And his dad says, I'm packed. My bags are packed. When you play and win a national championship, I'm going to be there. My bags are already packed. And Jim would say in his famous ESPY speech that his father gave him the greatest gift that anyone can give another person, that he believed in him. And I think it's worth pointing out, if we don't believe in them, who will? If their parents aren't their biggest fan, who will be? Who are they going to go get that from instead? What is success as a parent? Is it having a bunch of kids that go to Harvard? Is it having a bunch of kids that make a bunch of money? Is having a bunch of kids that become experts in their craft and win awards? I think success as a parent, and I heard the founder of FedEx say this once, success in life is having kids who come home for the holidays. He said, forget all the other stuff, your kids come home for the holidays. Who travels to whom, I don't think is the important part of that story. It's, does your family spend time together? That's success. There's that Highwaywoman song, The Crowded Table. That's success as a parent. Of course, you want to have healthy kids who survive into adulthood, kids who can support themselves. The poet William Stafford tells this story about his kids are home for Thanksgiving or some holiday, and his wife and he go to bed early, and his kids stay up late, and they're just talking. And he says, this is the eulogy we get to hear. Our family being together, wanting to spend time together, enjoying each other's company, that is success. If you want a crowded table, you need to make the right decisions right now. There There was once a Nobel Prize winning physicist who was asked about what his childhood education was like. And you might think that his mother was hard driving, that she monitored his grades, that she pushed him and pushed him and pushed him to be better and smarter and win, read and work and got him the best tutors. And he said, no, actually, when he came home from school every day, while other parents would ask things like, did you get a good grade? What'd you do on the test? He said his mom would always ask, did you ask a good question today? And I love that because a good question is more valuable, because a good question gets you on the way to a good answer, gets you new perspective, new ways of considering things. What questions are you asking yourself, making you a better parent, that's reminding you of what's important? And I hope these questions help you do just that. If you want to get better at your most important job, I send out one piece of parenting advice every single day. That's the Daily Dad newsletter. It's followed by hundreds of thousands of parents all over the world. It's totally free, no spam. You can sign up right now for free at dailydad.com.